Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Cal Royal SH-44R US4 Satin Brass Spring Hinge. Very typical residential type spring hinge. Let's dissect the part number. SH means spring hinge. The -44 means it's 4 inch by 4 inch. 4 inch is the height, that's the first dimension. Also 4 inch wide, which is the second dimension. The R means that it's a radiused corner, and on this hinge it's a 1/4 inch radius. The US4 stands for satin brass. That specifically means, it doesn't specifically mean. This is like a US4 or 633 finish. 633 specifically means that it's a steel base hinge. US4 doesn't differentiate, but in this hinge it's a steel hinge with a satin brass finish. Nice attractive finish on this. This is a single acting full mortise standard weight hinge. Let's go over that. Single acting means it will close the door in one direction. It's not handed. Left or right hand doors, it'll work fine. Full mortise means that you can see the swag from the hinge leafs there, that when the hinge is mortised to the edge of the door and frame, that would mean that it's flush, so it's fully mortised. Standard weight was the next thing. That means that the leaf thickness is 134 thousandths thick. I'd be tempted to say that this leaf, if I had a caliper, would be closer to 130 thousandths. Not that that's going to really be a major issue, but I don't believe for a minute that that's 134 thousandths. I would. Well, let's take a look and see if the template has anything different. Okay, the template calls it out at being 110 thousandths thick. So if you've gotten this far in the video, we're going to, by the time you see this, I will have corrected that error in the extended description. This hinge leaf, I can tell, is not 134. It's 110 thousandths thick, which is very typical, very common. Referring back to that link to the template shows everything important dimensionally about this hinge. We went over the width and the height. You got your 1/4 inch radius. It also will give you locations for the screw holes. So definitely review that before you order it if you have any concern about what you might be dealing with. Okay. Available in several different finishes from Cal Royal. And I have to say, the fit and finish on this hinge is certainly nice. There's no problem whatsoever. And given the cost, I'd say it's a real slam dunk in terms of quality per dollar spent. Now, regarding the setting of the tension on this hinge, it's really straightforward sort of situation, and I'm going to go over that now. There is, on the box that your hinge will likely come in, we'll have the instructions printed right on the rear of it. You can pause this video and probably, well, I'm not sure if it'll work, but I'll hold it up there so you can review it if you want. Pausing the video may or may not retain this screenshot. I've never tried it. Bottom line is this. The cliff notes of the instructions are simply this. The tension collar is to be pointed up. You insert the Allen wrench that is included into the tension collar in the top. You'll know that that's the top because there's a tension collar here and there's none of that down here. Allen wrench goes in, just an Allen wrench. Rotates clockwise when you have it up. As you rotate that, you reveal additional new holes. It's into one of those additional new holes that you would insert one of these little tension pins. This order has 2 hinges on it, so there's 2 tension pins. This package also includes this tension rod. This system of hinge does not require the use of the tension rod, but you could still use it by inserting a tension rod into that hole, cranking it over, then inserting a pin. That's how that's going to work. Screws are included in a complimentary finish. Okay. Now, in terms of how many hinges to use on an application, you know, you're going to commonly see 1 hinge for doors about 50 pounds, let's say, 2 hinges if you're up to about 80 pounds, and maybe all 3 hinges if you get over 100 pounds. And of course, we're talking about doors that are generally 3 foot by 7 foot or smaller. Now, I have found that the use of 1 hinge is never going to work, even if it's a hollow core door, because you've got to overcome the resistance of the air pressure, the resistance of the latch bolt hitting the strike plate and overcoming that and closing. And sometimes what people do is set the tension so high if they've got 1 hinge when they should have 2, or 2 when they should have 3, set it so high just to get the door moving fast enough through the closing cycle so the door still has enough inertia to kind of overcome all that. It's not really a great way to go. Well, spring hinges are kind of a band-aid solution to begin with to close a door. However, they do fill a need in the marketplace. Back to the point. I'm a big fan of 2 when you need 1, or 3 when you need 2, or always all 3, and be done with it. Before I go further, you can mix and match this with a standard hinge because the axis of pivoting is compatible with a typical 4x4 commercial type hinge. Now, the reason to overdo it, so to speak, on spring hinges is because you'll find, just like a tugboat doesn't go very fast but can pull a very heavy load, if you've got enough residual energy stored in the spring when the door is getting down to the closing cycle, there will still be enough momentum in the door to get it to not only close but latch properly without forcing the springs to slam that door closed or to build up so much speed that it has to, sometimes slam or move too quickly through the opening. Because springs aren't very efficient when you get down into the lower sort of the 0 to 15 degree sort of cycle of closing or opening. And I have found there's enough torque, going back to that tugboat example, when you've got lots of spring hinges doing the job, sharing the load better, to get the door to, in a better controlled fashion, not only close but latch. Because in fire doors, which is very likely where you're using a spring hinge, you've got your 2 requirements. It has to be self-closing, but your second requirement is that it's latching. So a door that closes and doesn't latch doesn't pass. Good quality company, Cal Royal, efficient, predictable, reliable, especially given the space that they work in. A large import company bringing stuff in from overseas. I've been selling their products for well over 20 years and see no reason to discontinue doing that anytime soon. I like the quality, I like the price, I like the people. If you have any questions on the Cal Royal SH-44R 4x4 US4 standard weight single acting spring hinge and a satin brass finish, or any other Cal Royal product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.